Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to the Traversing the Stars podcast. How are my loyal listeners? Thank you for continued support. We have an amazing show for you all because boarding the mothership is Jack Trueman. He stars in the movie Sharkbait. Now come join me as we go traversing the stars.
Hello, Mr. Truman. Thank you so much for coming to the Traversing the Stars podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's totally my pleasure, sir. I actually had the great pleasure of watching the movie Sharkbait. Very good movie. I enjoyed watching it.
Fantastic. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I still haven't seen it.
You still haven't seen it? Well, that's right. It hasn't hit England yet, so you must be excited when it gets there.
Absolutely.
So I always start with a question of inspiration. So what inspired you to become an actor, and who are your earliest influences?
Oh, that is a very good question. What inspired me to be an actor? My dad is a huge film buff. So, I mean, I grew up watching lots and lots of films. And I just remember sort of like looking at the screen going, I want to do whatever they're doing. I want to do that. And the huge influences for me, I guess, I don't know. Bill Murray always comes to mind for some reason. I don't know why. Bill Murray always just pops into my head whenever I think about heroes of mine.
Well, he's a great one to have as a hero. He's fantastic. So when you were watching these movies that inspired you, do you know what aspects of it inspired you? Was it just, seeing them on screen, seeing people watch them? Was it you as an audience seeing the reaction, or was it something on the screen that was getting your attention?
I think, I'm not, as an individual, I think I'm drawn to both. I mean, I love being an actor, but I also want to go down the route of making films, and I just love film in general, as I love theatre as well. But some reason I think all of it just really kind of appealed to me. So I guess like there's a whole. I think cinema as a whole kind of really got me. So I don't know if that was the best answer, but
no, yeah, it's a good answer. So you graduated from the London Drama Centre,
yes.
If I got my information correct, which glad that I did. So what was it about the London Drama Centre that caused you to gravitate towards it?
Well, Drama Centre. I remember calling up my mum, and it was during the time when I was auditioning. The second time around, I was auditioning for drama schools, and I remember calling her up, and I think I just had an audition at RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and I remember saying to her, "I'm not going to audition for any other school other than Drama Centre."
Oh wow!
So I was very set on it. A lot of my favourite actors, like Emilia Clarke, Tom Hardy, Michael Fassbender, went there. So I already thought like, all right, they're setting a standard already. I really want to be that standard. So there was a part of that, and I have a family friend who went to Drama Centre as well a long time ago. And yeah, I think from a lot of influence, I just kind of thought, you know what, this is the place for me. They create the mad kind of actors that I want to be.
So, I mean, I know when I told my parents what I wanted to do for my life for college, my father, I remember his words. He always said, "Have a backup." So when you told your mother that you're only going to apply for this one school, was she like, you may want to back up, or she was like, go for it?
I think she was like, well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's think about, let's see if you get in, and if you don't get in, maybe think about another career or something like that.
I mean, like I said, I think that's what parents always do. They're always a little nervous. As a kid, we're just like, I'm not going to fail. This is how it goes. But I think it's always the parents who are like, I live long enough to know. Back up.
It is so true. I remember there was a point in time where I said to my mum, I was like, I really want to make films, but I also want to do acting. She was like, the film thing sounds great. It sounds a bit more like job security. That does.
that sounds so much like a parent. I mean, she must be so excited to know where you are now. I mean, you're a movie star now. That must be fantastic.
Yeah, it is pretty. It's pretty good. It's weird. It's like, I mean, the movie was made uh, just over a year ago now, and there was a period of time where I was like, I sort of forgot that I was an actor, sort of thing. Like I went and did some theatre in the in
Yeah.
between times, and like I sort of forgot that I did the movie. Like although it was one of the most memorable experiences I'll ever have,
Right.
I just completely, I don't know, it sort of like completely skimmed my brain, and I just went, yeah, it was sort of surreal when the film got released in the States and other places. I was started getting a bit more like social media started popping up a little bit more.
So, sorry, 1 second. So when you went to the London Drama Center, I mean, obviously, I'm not an actor for many reasons, other than I'd be horrible at it. But I'm not an actor. But obviously, the acting is an art, is an art form. So, how did the London Drama Center forge you into the actor that you are now? And what worked there, or taught you as acting there? What part of it is experience, and how do they kind of coexist with one another? Experience versus your training.
Well, it's interesting because the drama center has a very, I mean, it's got an amazing approach, but it's also a very interesting approach, as in that it's got some of its own styles, which it trains actors in. Very kind of like, almost like sort of like Jungian psychology sort of style. I've got peers of mine who will listen to this and go like, no, it's not. Like, I was there. I was in the classroom. I promise. But I think how it shaped me was, I mean, it really kind of taught me that, I mean, I am still to this day, I love the idea of winging it, just being able to do anything just on the sort of chance that it might just go really well, hopefully, and sort of hope for the best kind of thing. But drama center taught me that I can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. You have to put absolutely every bit of blood, sweat and tears you can into every script, every character. You got to do your research. They're all about the research. And I think there's times where you'd be doing like 3 or 4 different projects all at the same time, and you'd be like, well, when am I going to get a moment to sleep during this do all this preparation?
Right.
And yeah, I think that really kind of, that's where I really cut my teeth, I feel.
Well, like I said, I mean, obviously, whatever you did was successful, because once again, having seen Sharkbait, you're fantastic in it. It's a really good movie, and I really enjoyed it. I had the pleasure of talking to the director, Mr. Nunn, and I told him just how tense the movie felt and how real it all felt. And obviously, the director gets credit, but the actors get credit as well for all that. How did you get involved with the Sharkbait? And having, now that I know a little bit more about, the project and how it was filmed, what were you told about the project upon receiving the role?
Well, so I mean, I got involved with projects just through, I mean, it's funny. I don't know whether it's like okay for me to say this, but I actually I originally auditioned for Tyler. And so I remember doing that tape, and I actually redid the tape because I didn't do a very good accent originally. And then I got a recall for Tyler, and then I went in, and then after that I got a recall for Tom, and then I looked at the character of Tom, and I remember thinking, yeah, this guy, he's like, as much as I love Tyler, and also Malachi, who is absolutely incredible, was just perfect for the role of Tyler. But I remember reading Tom, and thinking, yeah, this guy's a bit of a dick. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy every moment of this. Yeah, and I just remember getting that phone call from my agent, and I was like, absolutely, I'm there. just sign me up. I'm ready to go. The idea of filming in water, especially the ocean, I'm a big swimmer myself. I love swimming. I love surfing. I love anything that's waterborne. I'll be there. And yeah, so that's sort of how I got involved, and I just love the character of Tom.
Is it more fun to play the dickish character than the heroic ones?
Oh, every time. Every time. I mean, it's always nice playing a nice guy, just because, everybody's going to like you. But I think a lot of actors, a lot of actors enjoy playing the bad guy, just because you don't ever get to do it in real life. Acting gives such a license for all the worst things. Not that we want to do those things, but
right.
It's all
So like when you play a dick successfully, like you did, are you worried at all that people watching are like, wow, that guy's really a dick? Jack Trueman's a dick.
No, I'm really hoping people will separate me and Tom. I mean, I really, really hope so. I really hope people don't think I would treat people like that, or at least be that much of a. I don't know. I haven't seen the film yet. It's been a while. I'm thinking, what were the terrible things I did?
Well, once again, I mean, one of the impressive thing about the movie, and like I said, having talked to with the director, is like you said, is all filmed in open water under a very hot sun.
Yeah.
Now, when you were going for the role, how strong was the warning about, keep in mind, good movie, fun to shoot under the sun on open water. Good luck.
That's a great question, actually. I guess it's funny. James Nunn, who's the most incredible human being. He was literally like, he kind of said in the room, like, I remember being in the audition room and him saying, like, are you okay with like open water? Are you okay with like what you like as a swimmer? That was a big question. Can you swim? And I mean, for me, like, I love swimming. I swam competitively for a bit in my teenage years, and I was like, yeah, I love swimming. And I didn't realize that in open water, though, it was, because even though it was under the hot sun, it was October, so it was freezing. So,
I did not know that. I figured it was wicked, been really warm, because I'm thinking about the sun and how it looked. I was like, this is probably some really warm ass water.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was. That. Do you know the breathing technique Wim Hof?
I do not.
So there's this guy called, they call him the Iceman, Wim Hof. He's this Dutch kind of breathing expert, and I learned his breathing technique so I could get into the water. I remember saying to James in the room, I'm doing this Wim Hof technique, so so I can deal with really cold water. And I remember being on the boat and doing my Wim Hof breathing, which is like, essentially you just hyperventilate for like 10 minutes, and it supposedly warms you up. It's actually a lot more complicated and much more interesting than that, but I'm giving it credit for. But for the sake of the story, there's me doing that breathing on the side of the boat. And I remember Catherine Hannay, who's just amazing. She gets in the water. She's not done any of this breathing stuff, but she can hack the cold like no one I've ever seen. Like, really, like she just, I don't think she ever batted an eyelid at it. It was just like, when I was like, I did all my breathing, I'd get in the water, I'd be in there for ages, I'd be like, oh God, can we have a break now?
Yeah.
And she was just fine.
Yeah. But I imagine it kept you nice and awake when you jumped in. You probably, if you shot early in the morning, as soon as you jumped in, I'm sure you're nice and awake for the rest of the shoot.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really does. I remember the minute they'd say cast in the water, I'd be like, right, I do not need coffee anymore. That's a saving.
I mean, obviously, I mean, when you're dealing with those kind of conditions, right? No, the cold water, the sun, the open water, all that stuff.
Hmm.
Is it something that helps your performance? Because obviously, you don't have to fake that you're cold. You're in the water. You have to fake, that you're under the hot sun. You are. Or is it? But is there also, on the other hand, is it a draining aspect too? Because once again, you're dealing with nature and weather, which must also complicate things on the other side.
Um, well, so like I think acting in like under like the sun, and when it gets really really hot, the thing is that being in and out of that water, when you get out of the water and you'd be just sort of sitting on the jet ski, you get a thing called wind chill, which is like you just absolutely, it's like licking your finger and seeing which way the wind's blowing. Is you just become that wet finger kind of thing. Weird reference I've just made, but
That's a good one. Don't worry about it.
thanks. Yeah, so I think that was it is weird because like the more time, so we'd have sometimes the challenging things were if you were on the jet ski and you had a scene or you had a few scenes which you weren't in the water for like a while, you can get very very hot. You can, and you just need to keep like splashing yourself with water and keep drinking water and staying hydrated. But same with the being in the water and losing your core temperature. There was a lot of I mean, the makeup and costume team were there waiting with hot water bottles and dressing gowns, and they were just absolutely amazing. It was the absolute dream team to make sure that we could actually do our job and perform in those conditions.
No, I mean, like I said, I think the job that you did in that movie is terrific, and like I said, and I recommend Shark Bait to our listeners. Part of the movie, once again, is that you're very restricted in the setting. Once again, you're basically hanging around the water ski. So it's very narrow amount of movement that you can do. Very limited amount of body movement, or using your body for communication, body language, things of that nature. So when you realize this, when you're doing your acting, what decisions are you making to take into account that the ability for you to utilize your body but the performance is going to be a little more limited due to the lack of stage, as it were, stage space?
So like what would I do in terms of like to expand the sort of like the stage of
Right.
being on that, just
Right.
the jet.
And did you find that because you're limited in body movement, you had to be more maybe use more facial expression or things of that nature to counteract that?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I did sort of like, I think that because it's all so close to yeah, because we don't have a lot of really really big I mean, don't have a big surface area to work with. We kind of, yeah, it's a lot of it was very kind of I guess a lot came in just with sort of like the bodily struggle of being on the jet ski and being it all had to be very much, I think your face, your body, everything had to be constantly aware of what the struggle was at that time. Am I allowed to say spoilers in here?
Yeah, it's totally up to you. Yeah, go right for it.
So there's a bit where my leg gets a little bit eaten, and
Just
I
a
think
nibble.
yeah, just a little nibble, just a little snack, and a moose bouche for anyone who's into that. Yeah, I think there was being just so aware of like, if you're getting like close-up shots, you get close-up shots of my leg, and like there might be a very quick shot to my face, so I've got to be constantly aware of I mean I was always aware of the injury, but like making sure that everything that whilst holding on to the jet ski, I've got this pain, and I've got to make sure that everything is everything's rolling. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, how did you construct the character of Tom? Once again, given the information that you had either in the script or maybe by the director.
So I spoke a lot to James about who he was in terms of like the social dynamic between the friends. And I think because the lines gave me somewhat to work with, gave me a lot to work with in terms of like how to how to bring him to life. But I think the idea of, you know, like is it the sort of the jock character, I guess.
Mm,
The sort of like, he's a sort of guy that everything kind of like just lines up really nicely for him. And I really liked the idea of, because of the for spoilers, I'm just going to give a spoiler alert right here. Him cheating on his girlfriend with her friend.
yeah.
Um, you know, that a lot of things go wrong for him in that moment. It's so unbelievably awkward in itself, let alone being, you know, threatened by sharks in the middle of the ocean. So I would say, I think I really like the idea of him having a sort of life where, you know, everything's just easy. Everything's
Mm.
easy for him, but this, he does not know how to handle this one. So it's going to give a real nice sort of like, just a real challenge for him. Yeah.
Is the shark then karma for this guy? I mean, he's kind of a dick, cheated on his girl, perfect
Oh yeah.
life. It's kind of like it's the karma shark comes from.
Absolutely. And I think that's what the sequel should be called, Karma Shark.
Karma shark. You heard it here first. I got to thank you at the end of the movie now. Thank you for the title, Traversing the Stars.
Yeah.
So you're when you're saying like everything comes easy for this guy and he's not prepared to handle it. So when you're performing him, are you thinking that this is like the first time he's ever really dealt with adversity in any way?
um no, I think he's come across it before. I think he's encountered it. I think I like the idea of him being the sort of person who can sort of duck and dive
Hmm.
most situations. Like I think he can get away from a lot of social situations where he doesn't ever feel uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And I think the relationship that all the relationships that are out there on the water, um being stuck there, you know, like, you know, if you know, you get into a conversation with someone on an airplane or on a train or something, you kind of have nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's
um,
true.
and it always makes it really awkward, especially if you just met them.
Hmm.
It's just like, oh, and it was nice to meet you, I'm going to turn away and just read my book now. um, I like that sort of being trapped aspect. I think that's a really important part of the film, is the being trapped part of it. And I think the idea of him being a sort of so socially equipped that he can kind of like, I mean, if that's the right term, he can get away from anything that makes him uncomfortable, or
Hmm.
he can make sure that he's never in a, you know, in a awkward position. Out there, he has to be completely confronted,
Hmm.
and he's got to have absolutely nowhere to go. um and I just really like that. I really
Yeah.
like that being more of a challenge for him. Yeah.
And I also agree with you. And listen, for our listeners, if you're with anyone on a bus or a plane, just sit here, just don't talk to us. We got better things to do than meet you.
I will go back to my book.
Exactly. That part is true, you know. Read a book, listen to music. That's
Yeah.
the role of a train and a plane.
Yeah.
And like I said, also like I said, I had the great pleasure to meet to talk to James Nunn, and he was an amazing person to talk with, and it sounds like he was and having seen the movie, he's a great director.
Yeah.
So what was it about Mr. Nunn that was so effective as a director, and how did you feel like he was getting the best out of you?
I mean, I've got to get my list because there's about a million reasons. He, I mean, a really important thing I think about directors, especially film directors, is time management. James
Hmm.
has amazing time management. I know that's not like a creatively like flattering thing to say, but like he's excellent with it. He has a perfect balance of creativity and playfulness, and whilst getting, you know, I think because directors have such hard jobs in making sure that things are done to schedule and also with comfortability. He made us all feel so comfortable and made us feel like we could really play as actors and really explore our characters to the fullest whilst we were out. Also in quite, you know, in the open sea, which is not easy. It's not easy to film out in the open sea. You know, he had an eye on absolutely everything, but he made sure that, you know, everything was being done to its, you know, absolute best, you know, possibility. I felt like the minute I met James, I instantly felt like he was my, you know, like a mate that I'd known for ages. And I feel like the rest of the cast would definitely say the same. I mean, not to speak for them or anything, but like and I think that having that ability to also chat to him about the character was great. Like, he always has time for you to, you know, because I mean, he you know, when filming, the director has absolutely like 1,000,001 things to do. You know, they've got to go do shot lists for the next day. They've got all that sort of stuff to do. James always somehow, it was like he had that, you know, that time machine thing that it sounds really silly, that Hermione Granger has in Harry Potter.
Yes.
the time necklace. It was like he had that. He always had time to chat about character and to chat about you know, things, that anything you really wanted to talk about in terms of the movie, and that really made a huge like you know, space for creativity and a space for us to really get, you know, it made me feel like it's not just going to be a shark film. It's going to be a film about people who get eaten by sharks.
Right. Well, I mean,
you know what I mean,
right? And speaking of the shark, once again, I mean, with CGI sharks, you don't ever see it, but at the same time, you are in open water where there could very well be sharks. You know, I mean, how genuine did the terror feel? In not only in your head, imagining what shark looks like, having not, you know, not there, and also once again being in the water and thinking, there really could be a shark underneath this water right now.
I mean, there was actually moments where I found out that I think it was like the second biggest great white shark was caught off the coast of Malta.
Nice.
We filmed it, and when I found that out, I did think to myself, is it this little possibility that, you know, I mean, who knows? There was a whale found in the River Thames at one point. You know, is it possible there's going to be a shark underneath my feet at some point? You'd
be like, wow, that shark looks so real.
Yeah. You got, is that CGI happened already? It's like we're in post-production, we're in production all at the same time. What's going on?
that would have freaked me out, I think, just a little bit, knowing that you actually do have sharks like that roaming around where you're filming.
I think it was just this really rare case of, like, back in, like, I think it was like the 60s or even earlier than that, they found some shark off the coast of Malta, but there were no sharks around there. Apparently there's lots of shipwrecks around Malta. That kind of semi freaked me out a little bit. Don't know why, they're just so ghostly. Yeah.
That's also, that has to be the next shark movie as well. It'll be Shark Shipwreck. You're gonna
that will be I'd love to be in that. I'd love to be in that.
Like I said, well, I hope our listeners check out Shark Bait. It is available in the United States right now, so they better check it out. It's, like I said, a lot of fun, very tense. And Mr. Trueman, thank you so much for talking with me. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to chat to you today. Thank you so much for having me. Awesome. Please do. Thank you so much, man. Lovely to speak to you. Take care.